Welcome back, everybody. As always, on Friday, we have our Friday review show. This is our end cap for the week before we get into our house calls over the weekend. And what I want to do today, though, is I want to bring you a throwback book that I read well over a decade ago. I've never recommended it on the show. I look back, I checked at stephencabral.com/podcast. I used the search box myself. I looked at this huge master spreadsheet that I have of over 2,800 podcasts. It doesn't seem that I've ever recommended it. And it's interesting because it's a simple remedy you can use right at home. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you today. One of the reasons I'm recommending the book and I'm going to be recommending the product is because I'm using it now each and every morning. And I always like to share with you the journey that I'm on as well and what I make for tweaks in my daily routine. I will most likely be starting a quarterly blog. So it's basically one update every 12 weeks over at highperformancehealth.org. And the reason I'll be starting that is because I'm working so much on biological age and reducing rate of aging and teaching a lot of these anti-aging and longevity-based true scientific research benefits that I want to keep you updated as to where I am, my latest biological age test, reducing rate of aging, and so much more. And doing that all without any medications, drugs, pharmaceuticals, anything that you might be a little bit dubious or a little bit leery of using yourself. So I just want to show you how it can be done. And again, what I always share with you is that I don't have any special genetics. If anything, I've got some of the worst genetics like you could possibly imagine. I mean, when you look at my ApoE genotype and MTHFR and all these different things, it's not ideal. All right. So we're just going to put it that way. So I like to actually be someone that I can say to you, I don't have any of these great genetics or great longevity genes. And when I look at my, family lineage, amazing people, but a lot of autoimmune issues, a lot of health issues. I had health issues for a decade. And so I want to be a little bit of a hope, for people that may be struggling right now, just saying I've been there. I get it and it can change. It really can. So I want to start to do that in the future. I don't know how I got on that topic in the first place with sodium. I almost gave it away. It's not sodium, it's not salt. So wait for that review in just a few moments. But what I like to do too on these shows is also bring you a couple research studies. So I'll be going over that one today with healthy processed foods that 1 in 8 people are addicted to. We'll go over that. And then what you can do, 2 simple things. You're doing them already. You just might need to do a little bit more of them on protecting your bones now so they don't become brittle. You don't have to worry about breaking bones, breaking your hip when you're older. All right, let's dive into the show. So this is, for me, the fall, I do a lot. I get a lot done with planning for even the next year, which is pretty wild, but it's also coming off of always a really busy season for me. So I live my life in these 12-week years that I've talked about before. And that's just because, again, I've been so sick in the past. I understand what it's like. So I just try to maximize every year. Not overdo it, I don't think, but I try to maximize it. And that's with family, that's with my work, that's with my health, all these different things. So I just went through a cycle of, really family for the summer and then a lot of work for, let's say, September through October, and now shifting more to health. And I like to just kind of make these shifts. It means I don't forget my family, I don't forget my work, but I like to do more on my health. So I'm actually completing, as we speak, and I'll give you the updates on that, a 7+ day. It's going to be longer than that, but I can't give you the exact amount of time because I need to monitor my body, but I'm going to be doing a pure water fast. A lot of people will think that's insane. I totally get it. I understand. This is something that I've studied for 20 years now. So it's got to be close to 20 years, almost 20 years. And when I was going through my studies, a lot of the people that I studied were Dr. Herbert Shelton and many others. And I've done actually a 7-day water fast, technically 6 3/4 days, back a little over a decade ago. And since I've had kids and my life has been, crazy over the last 10 years, I haven't done it. But now I told myself right after the Reimagining Health Summit, I am going to do this fast. And the reason is, I'm such a believer in it. Literally every major religion around the world has extended fast as part of it. when you look at natural health, when you look at what it does to your own stem cells. So it's like there's so much that goes into it. I'm going to explain more, and I'm not recommending it for anybody else. I'm not saying that because most people, they're not in a state yet that they should do that. Most people should really, again, follow what's written in the Rain Barrel Effect. Do the functional medicine detoxes first. Go through the heavy metal detoxes. Go through doing some exercise, some walking, some sauna. Then when you've hit that next level, okay, then you can do more. But you don't really need to go to this stage. I'm not recommending it for most people. Only in severe based cases, would I recommend it. And then the opposite side of severe based cases are people that have reached another level. They've really emptied their rain barrel and they want then to say, how far can I take this? And so that's what I'm doing right now. Of course, I would never do anything unhealthy for myself. I don't use any pharmaceuticals. I don't use any drugs. I don't do anything that would harm my body in any way. I don't experiment. I just don't do that. I'll use things that are clinically proven to work and that I've seen in Ayurvedic medicine, but I will never take a chance, basically as a father and as a husband. I'm not going to do that. I've got 2 young daughters. I would never do anything to put myself in harm's way. I monitor myself all along the way. And I will share with you on an update show. I'll actually do a full show on just the water fast. And I'll tell you clinics around, at least I know in the United States and one in Mexico, that you can do a water fast under medical supervision if you choose to. Okay, so just wanted to share that with you. You're going to see me lose a lot of weight. I'd prefer not to lose weight, but I'm basically battling the ego that all of us have, and I'm already at my goal weight. Like I don't want to lose more, but I'm going to lose probably about 15 pounds. And although I don't prefer that, I do believe in the research that I'm doing with this and the safe, not even experimentation, but the safe process and journey that I'll be taking myself through. And I believe that although it will be challenging along the way, I will be stronger both mentally and physically post water fast. So just wanted to share that with you. Okay, next up, I want to move away from a more serious topic to what we have going on over at EquiLife. We always love to bring you our favorite products each and every week. And this week we will be giving away a full-size bottle of CBD oil. So this is a product that I believe is around $50 to $60. And that is because it is organic, full spectrum CBD. A lot of people don't know this, but EquiLife was one of the first people to ever carry organic full spectrum CBD. Before anybody was talking about it, we were using CBD. Why? Well, we don't think about trying to be first or any of those things. We were using it because even back then, there were over 900 PubMed studies just on cannabinoids and how they help with anxiety and sleep issues and low mood and pain and inflammation and so much more, right? And so bottom line is it works, and we use it whenever we need to calm the central nervous system, and you can dose it for the right amount for you. Most adults need anywhere between 25 to 100 milligrams, which is essentially 1 to 4 droppers, and you can use it as you want. You just put it under your tongue, you hold it for 2 minutes, and you swallow it. Kicks in about 20 to 30 minutes. And then after 20, 30 minutes, if you feel you need more, you can use more. There's really no upper limit to cannabinoids and CBD oil. Kids can use it too. That's obviously at their parents' discretion, and they can use a smaller amount, and you can work your way up. It works for pets as well. You can use it with pets. I used it with my dog. And so that's that. But the thing is, it's free. You can try it out on us on all qualifying orders. Unfortunately, you cannot ship CBD internationally, not legally at least. And there are, there's no really other restrictions. So if we can ship it to you, we will ship it to you free on all qualifying orders at stevencabral.com/shop. All right, check that out while supplies last. And then if you missed the free giveaway, head on over to equilibriumcbd.com. Okay, podcast recap for the week. Let's see here. Start where you are, not where you want to be. That was episode 2817. I love that show because usually I'm all in talking about setting a vision, right? Setting the vision that you want for your life, understanding your potential, suspending disbelief, creating the action plan that will get you there, and then moving forward on a daily basis. However, there are a lot of people, and I've been there myself, where you are so in it at the moment. You are struggling, right? And you can't think about a year down the road, 3 years down the road. You can only think about trying to make it through today. And so this show is really dedicated in those times. So check that out. That was episode 2817. Tuesday's show is the 7 common chemicals that disrupt your hormones. You're going to want to check that out. That affects both men and women. Issues like infertility, low testosterone, PCOS, estrogen dominance, adult-based acne, thyroid, and so much more. So definitely check out that show. Common things inside your house to watch out for. On Wednesday's show, circadian intermittent fasting is the best method of intermittent fasting, also sometimes called chrononutrition. Definitely check that out. If you have not heard of circadian intermittent fasting before, I've always believed in it, always used it, and the science behind it is rock solid. So check that out. It may just change when you do your 12-12, your 14-10, or your 16-8, all right? Next up, and yesterday's show was how strong is your core? So I'm giving you a test that anybody can do right at home. It's kind of a follow-up from the push-up test, but this one is based on core strength that everyone can improve and work up on over a period of weeks. So test where your core strength is, level 1, level 2, or level 3. All right. All of those, again, can be found at stephencabral.com/podcasts. And for today's show, which I'm going to be giving you a product review and book review of the week, head on over to stephencabral.com/2821. That is today's show. So right now, we're going to do this by the power of video editing again. Hopefully our amazing video editor can pop this up. We're going to show a bag of sodium bicarbonate, all right? Sodium bicarbonate, the one that I'm using right now is Bob's Red Mill, but there are a bunch of companies that you can purchase that are sodium bicarbonate. You don't need to worry much about the aluminum. Sodium baking soda, you do. Okay, so you can always look for aluminum free. That's my highest recommendation, of course. I'm using right now the Bob's Red Mill. And then what I want to do, because I'm going to share with you the book next, all the different ways that you can use sodium bicarb. Now, you've probably already heard of sodium bicarb before. I'm not saying that this is brand new to you in any shape, in any way, shape, or form. But just listen to some of the things that it can do. So it can polish silver. It can clean up your stove. It can degrease your dishes by just dropping a little baking soda in there with some hot water, and it will help to pull that right off. Clean your stove. It freshens your carpets, freshens your refrigerator by leaving an open bag or a box in there. It can clean your toilets. It can, absorb odors in shoes. It can be used as a drain cleaner. It can be used as a laundry booster to clean clothes. It can remove armpit stains from t-shirts. It can be used for watercolor paints. It can be used for bath detoxifier. So put it in a foot bath or a bath that you hop into yourself. It can help with heartburn. If you have heartburn, you can put a little bicarb, a little sodium bicarb, a half a teaspoon or so in some water and sip that down. It can be used for itch relief. It can be put on bee stings. It can be used as toothpaste, deodorant, a facial exfoliant, a no shampoo hair care. It can remove grease in the hands and feet. It can relieve leg cramps. It can be gargled during a cold. It can reduce fevers. It can help with cleaning your glasses. It can help with as a teeth whitener. It can help as a breath freshener. There's so many more. This is on page 30 and 31 that I'm talking about right now. So again, this is a do-it-all for sodium bicarb. But the real reason I'm sharing this with you today is that I've really studied sodium bicarb for many years now, but I've been reluctant to use it because I don't find it all that palatable. That's really the biggest reason. I mean, and that's the truthful reason. But I've been using it now for about 2 months, and I've been putting a half a teaspoon in a glass when I wake up. I brush my teeth, I go through the whole thing. You might decide to brush your teeth after because of the lemon that I put in, but then I squeeze a lemon. It's about a half of a medium to large size lemon in it. And then it foams up. So basically you get the acid from the lemon, and then you get the alkalinity of sodium bicarb, and that fizzes up. This, and I'm going to share with you where I got a lot of this information. A lot of it's available obviously online. But there was a book written many years ago. This is maybe my third reading of it, maybe fourth. Let's see when this book was written. It is, well, the latest updated copyright is 2014. I don't know the first actually publishing of it, so at least a decade ago. It was written by Dr. Mark Serkis. He's written a bunch of these smaller style, easy to read books. This is maybe 200 pages long. It's called Using the Healing Power of Baking Soda. also known as sodium bicarbonate, nature's unique first aid remedy. It is an easy to read book if you're someone that is wondering, why would I ever be recommending baking soda? And the reason is that it has the ability to give your body back alkaline buffers. So as we age, our pancreas, our kidneys, our lungs, the things that are kind of responsible for managing oxygen and CO2 and acidity inside of the body, they can sometimes be depleted. And when you look at this, a lot of people right away jump to, you don't need to do anything, your body does it itself, it manages its own pH. Yes, that's true, but at its own detriment. So your body doesn't have this endless storehouse of things. When your body needs calcium, if you don't have enough calcium in your diet, it pulls it from your bones. Well, not overnight, but over decades, that can lead to brittle bones, right? If you're constantly fasting and constantly in a state of stress, your body needs glycogen. And if there's not enough, or glucose, if there's not enough glucose stored in your liver as glycogen, it will break down muscle tissue, right? And so we have to understand is that your body, yes, it will get everything it needs at a blood to maintain that 7.356 alkalinity of the blood, slightly alkaline, but it does it as a cost to your kidneys, your pancreas, and much more. And so adding a little sodium bicarb, I'm not giving you any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis. It's something to think about because so many people have gotten so many great benefits from it. Now, it may not work for you. It may not be great for you. Nothing really is. But I wanted to share with you what I'm doing. I've had some pretty good success with it, and I have really enjoyed making that my kind of ancient remedy cocktail when I first wake up. So I drink that. And just, I want to show this book as well. So if you're watching this on video, this is what the cover looks like. And it's basically just called Sodium Bicarbonate, Nature's Unique First Aid Remedy by Dr. Mark Circus. And I will link it up at stephencabral.com/2821 here today. But what I want to share with you is I've always done my daily fruit and vegetable blend with a squeeze of lemon or lime and a pinch of sea salt in that. I've always done that for many, many years. And I swallowed that with my proteolytic enzymes or whatever I might be using, chlorophyll, etc. So, but now I've been doing this sodium bicarb, okay, half a teaspoon with a half of a large lemon. And then once it's done fizzing, it takes about a minute or so, you swirl it around. Once all the fizzing knocks down, then you can add just an ounce or so of water. And I just swish that around and then I drink it down. And then about 10 minutes later, I consume my daily fruit and vegetable blend by EquiLife. I use my enzymes and I put in my little pinch of sea salt there. It's a great way for me to start my morning. I get about 12 ounces to, let's say, just a little bit more every morning as my hydration to start the day. And then a couple hours. That won't break your fast, by the way, either. No calories in sodium bicarb. No real calories in lemon. And when you use the daily fruit and vegetable blend, it's sugar-free. There's no sugar in it. And you're not spiking your glucose at all. So I can use that. I can still stay in my fasted state in terms of blood glucose. There's some nutrients, micronutrients coming in, but not macros. And so that's what I do until a couple hours later when I have my breakfast. All right. So I just wanted to share that with you. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a whole blog in the future and look for that towards more closer to the end of the year, beginning of the year. All right. And then for people who don't like bicarb, you can't mix it with the lemon, but you could do it in capsules. And you can find sodium bicarbonate capsules. And you could certainly do that if you don't want to necessarily mix it with the lemon. You could just swallow the capsules. A lot of people do that for the kidneys, pancreas, etc. But again, I can't give you any medical advice for that. All right. Let's move on to our research for the week. If there's ever any questions, just let me know. I can't provide any medical advice, as I've said before, but certainly always happy to point you in the right direction. Let's go over. The first one is the first one's essentially a public service announcement, but it was published in, let's see where it was done out of the University of Michigan. It was a national poll of health in healthy aging. And this was published in, let's just see, about 8-9 months ago. Okay. And it was by Gerhardt and then addiction to highly processed foods among older adults. That's what it was called. Okay. So here's what they found in the research. Going to cut right to the chase. 1 in 8 people, 1 in 8 adults over the age of 50. That's why I wanted to bring this to you. This is not like college students, young kids, or those in their 30s. This is people over 50. that are addicted, and it was said, this is it, they show signs of addiction to highly processed food. And this is the minimum, right? So what does that mean? Well, it means there's a lot of people out there that are literally addicted to the salty, sweet fat. And I say that on purpose because when you mix those three ingredients together, you get a highly addictive product, almost never seen in nature. So what you get is when you're baking something, when you're making treats or any of these types of things, you add salt, you add sugar, and then you add fats. And it's everything that your body wants to do what? To essentially gain weight. And that's to do what? It's to survive. But now most of us, especially if you're listening to this podcast, have the ability to get food pretty much whenever you want. So we don't need that survival instinct anymore. But when we get those three tastes in our mouth, then what happens is we get the pleasure center lights up of the brain. We get more dopamine, right? We get a hit of serotonin, the pleasure, the feel good, the happiness, and our body wants more. And what I've seen in our health-based culture, even for those people who are trying to be healthy, they're replacing the so-called bad processed foods with just healthier, they call versions of gluten-free processed foods. So what I want to share with you is I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but if you're consuming muffins and cakes and all of these different processed treats, they're still highly processed foods. And so I just want to share that with you that, unless you are the one making these yourself from these, you're using whole oats and those types of things, you're really looking at a processed food. And I always try to give people this little test that if it's a baked good or if it's a brown type substance, I try to teach my daughters that. I'm like, consider the food that you're eating to not be healthy unless proven otherwise if it is not a brightly colored food. So white, yeah, there's some exceptions there, like cauliflower, right? But not a lot. And then if it's a brown colored food, well, there's some exceptions there, maybe some potatoes, things of that nature, but not a lot. And so the whole grain would have to be whole grain, it would have to be for the right individual, etc. So we have to be careful with that. And then I always tell people, if you could take that food and if you're watching me on video, you could mush that between your fingers, just kind of roll it up and it turns essentially to dust. That's going to be absorbed extremely quickly. So unless it's a protein powder or something like that you're taking as a supplement, not talking about foods here, that's one of the tests. So cookies, crackers, all of these things, they'll crumble up. They're going to be absorbed extremely quickly. So just be careful of all the paleo muffins and the this and that muffins and treats. Some of them might be okay. But if you're mixing the sugar, processed carbs, the salt, and the fat together, it can be a recipe for disaster. And that's why they're so addictive though. All right, enough about that. Let's talk about our second research study of the week. I wanted to share this with you. This was really interesting. I debated about doing a whole show on it, but you know what I want to do is I want to bring this to you this week. And actually, I'm going to give it to you. I know we're at time. I know we're a little bit over the typical time that I do, but I wanted to bring this to you. And so I'm going to bring it to you now. Maybe I'll do a whole show on it. So this was done on over 300,000 seniors. And it looked at those with hip fractures. And then they looked at the food they were eating, and this was published in the Journal in Clinical Nutrition. And they found that an increase in dietary protein can bring significant improvements for hip fracture risk. So for every 25 grams of protein eaten per day, participants saw a 14% lower risk of hip fracture. And for every additional cup of coffee or tea each day, the risk of hip fracture was lowered by 4%. So basically what they're saying is this, that as people get older, and I've always said this, over 65 plus, we know that you have to be careful with your protein intake between like 35 and 65. Before that, you want to keep it going as the body's growing, especially through the 20s, and especially for women during childbearing years. But then we have to be careful because that's like the stage of more potential for cancer, anabolism, etc. And I've got obviously a ton of podcasts and studies that show this. It doesn't mean don't eat protein. I'm not saying that. People always take it to the extreme the other way. But then over 65 or a certain age for you that you start to become more catabolic, you actually need to increase your protein. The problem is, and you know what, I am going to turn this into a whole podcast because there's a lot of nuances with this. so stay tuned for that over the next couple of weeks, is that most people as they get older, they're skipping meals, they're doing like toast and coffee for breakfast, they're having like a small lunch or just a yogurt. So they're getting like 4 or 5 grams of protein at breakfast. They're getting like 5 to 10 grams at lunch. And now the end of the day, they're so far behind in their protein requirements that they'd have to overeat on protein at one big meal. And we know that hydrochloric acid and enzymes get less prevalent when you're older, so you can't even break down the protein as well. So what I'm going to do is, why don't I do a podcast on this? But it does show that you need to improve your protein as you get older, especially 65 plus. And don't be afraid of a decaffeinated coffee or especially like a matcha green tea to improve your bones as well. All right, that is my time for today. Thank you everybody for tuning into the show. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you so much. And I'll be back tomorrow with our Cabral house calls answering all of our community questions. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.